I want to get modernistic, simple, and quick.
First with experience and
Quality.
Maybe that's our next April Fool's episode, is we just review our favorite local commercial jingles. Welcome to I'd Buy That for $1, a podcast about inexpensive, common, and underappreciated records that are waiting to be rediscovered. I'm your host, Sean Hartman, and did you guys know that dermatologists hate Tim Cohen and his one weird magic trick? Hey, little one, don't give up. Just keep listening to discover how to unlock the spirits inside, build a new house in heaven, and never die.
one simple trick. I don't know what to do with that. Sean.
I don't know what to do with that at all, so I was leaving it up to Jeremy.
Just let it hang there, that's fine.
Just let it hang in the air. Well, I'm co-host Jeremy, and like most, DIY musicians that have had vinyl records printed up, I need a magic trick, fellas.
Yeah, why's that?
I got about 2 boxes full of the exact same record I need to disappear. Just sitting in the basement.
Preferably for a little money.
At this point, just make them gone.
Yeah, the couple boxes of records from my band, that's my retirement plan. I'm hoping in a few decades they're going to maybe get a bump in popularity from some podcast, and then I'm good to go.
I set all of mine right next to my baseball cards in the basement as, future investments.
You got 2 retirement plans over there.
Yeah. No, it's always a sad moment for, I think, any musician when you end up just throwing out your dead stock of releases. Of course, I don't know because I've never done it. They're all just still sitting around. Well, I'm co-host Peter Cook, and I'd like to find an artist who combines the immediacy. Sounds like a personal ad. I'd like to find an artist who combines the immediacy of Tim Hardin's folk pop sensibilities with the wistful poeticism of Leonard Cohen. Might either of you know any artists like that? Tim Hardin, Leonard Cohen, an artist that kind of combines those 2 qualities?
I'm stumped.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well, if you think of one, let me know. Who are we talking about today?
Yeah, I'll keep my eyes peeled, but today we're talking about Tim Cohen. Tim Cohen's magic trick.
Oh.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. This might be the perfect, if his music has those qualities, it might just be what I was looking for. Even in name.
Personally, I'm hoping for a instructional record on magic tricks.
Yeah, this is Magic Trick by Tim Cohen, 2011?
Correct, and one of you will be disappointed.
Why is it? Okay. What label was this on?
This was on Captured Tracks.
Oh, okay. I am familiar with that label.
Oh, I'm not really, so.
They've released quite a bit of, known underground artists, indie artists.
Well, shall we check out this maybe known, maybe unknown underground artist?
Yeah.
Should we remind people what we're doing?
We should probably, it's probably good here in season 7, remind people how we're kicking things off with more recent, modern music, recent releases that for whatever reason, the vinyl versions of these don't command a high price typically. They might not necessarily be common, but if you do find a copy or look for one online, you probably won't have to pay more than $10 for one, except if you include shipping.
Correct. Prior to the beginning of this season, I don't think we've done an album after 1990 or something.
Yeah, I think 89 on the regular feed. I think 1989, that Jody Watley album's about as far as we ever pushed. You did like a noise release from the mid 90s for a Patreon. Like it was like a split 7-inch or something.
Oh yeah. That was maybe our first foray in this direction. We've been talking about doing it for years, so it's finally time. We're exploring modern releases, and this one is Tim Cohen's Magic Trick, and I want to start with the song The Flower, which is side A, track 3.
Something that is interesting hearing these tracks through the lens of this show, where normally we're featuring albums recorded in a professional studio intended for wide release. I'm noticing more, I don't want to call them clams or mistakes, but things that probably wouldn't necessarily make it to the final stage of a major release. And even there, it sounds like there's moments where Tim, clearly a very gifted songwriter, but in his vocal range is maybe struggling a little bit.
Yeah, this is an interesting thing. Leading up to recording this episode, a few days before we were about to record this, it just dawned on me like, oh, this is a person who is alive, not super famous, so they're not like agents in the way or whatever, and is on the internet. I can just reach out to him and ask him some questions. So I did exactly that. He graciously answered some questions, which was very kind of him. Thank you, Tim, if you're listening to this out there. And he did mention the time this was recorded in 2011. He actually was in a variety of music projects and put out like 4 or 5 albums in 2011, and said he was recording at home like nearly constantly. Looking back on this album now, he says he wishes he would have, done a little more editing, a little more making sure the sound was like cleaner and more pristine. But this album is kind of bait for me because I love when there's those little like mishaps and flubs. And I think as we go forward and even like bedroom recording people can like auto-tune and make everything sound perfect with a computer, these things make it feel very human and real and authentic in a way.
Yeah, of course. I meant that. I like lots of music that is not perfect, so it wasn't a criticism, but just an observation that we're hearing a lot more of that on these releases where, like you said, done under less than conventional circumstances, at least for in the more major wide releases that we tend to talk about on this program.
Yeah.
It's stuff that I don't even really normally think about when listening to music. I've listened to so much off-kilter stuff over the years that I'm often will not notice if something is off, unless it's, egregiously so.
Yeah. So often things feel off if they're too perfect or too clean for me,
Yeah, that's kind of, I know after I, spent a lot of time diving deep into Captain Beefheart's catalog, it kind of ruined all music for me for a while.
He has a way of doing that.
I had to pull my ears out of that just so I could appreciate other things. It was like nothing compares. Yeah, and anything that was like slick sounding was for a while just sounded phony to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a certain kind of magic to this era of bedroom pop. And as Jeremy said, maybe that sound is starting to go away in modern times, but you can really hear some of the early influences from, artists that we might have previously talked about. You could easily make some Velvet Underground comparisons. You can't talk about bedroom pop without bringing up Paul McCartney. But yeah, this 2010s home recording kind of lo-fi garage rock, folk rock, etc. I do love it. And there's a whole lot of cheap, underappreciated albums of this style out there.
It's interesting, by this point being 2011, it feels like the lo-fi indie pop and the lo-fi garage rock had almost merged by this point. They had been very two distinct camps, probably going back 2004, 2005, and somewhere in there they more and more came towards each other, probably also by that stuff being promoted through heralded, celebrated it on things like Pitchfork and Brooklyn Vegan and stuff like that.
Those are old internet blogs for the non-millennials in our audience.
Yeah, they're 15 plus years ago. That's how you determined if something was hot, if they were talking about it on those things.
That's true. Yeah, and Tim Cohen is kind of the merging of garage rock and folk, because he was in a fairly popular garage rock sort of revival psychedelic band called the Fresh and Onlys.
Yeah, I saw that listed amongst the many bands that he's been involved in.
Yeah, he's been involved in many things, but yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah. West Coast figure.
Correct. And I gotta say, what drew me to this album, I picked this up in Pittsburgh when we were on our little, get-together record shopping excursion that DJ Mahogany dropped in on.
Can I make one guess as to why you picked up this album?
Oh, yes, please do.
Is it because there's two basketball players drawn onto the cover?
That is correct. The cover is clearly something a major label wouldn't have given the thumbs up to, but it's a very psychedelic painting, and there is like a voided-eyed, bleeding Kevin Garnett and Kobe Bryant with like 3 arms, and they're holding a 40 in one of their arms and dunking basketballs into a naked lady with no mouth standing on a mound of basketballs holding a tub of popcorn.
Yeah, they're dunking into the popcorn bucket, it would seem.
Yeah. Her eyes are also bleeding, as well as the eagles symmetrically around her. Their eyes are bleeding as they're standing on disembodied, bloodied arms pouring 40s into headless folk acoustic guitar players.
Yeah, either pouring into or possibly the liquid is turning into headless guitar players who are standing in pools of blood.
True.
It's one of the best album covers we've ever described.
Yeah. I will also say that the actual cover does not feel as graphic as it sounds when we describe it.
Yeah. I'm like, oh,
You
this
kind of got to
is-
look close to be like, wow, this is actually really fucked up at first. It's just like, oh, it's kind of a weird drawing, but whatever.
Yeah, I haven't really looked at it when it was just a little image on my phone. I didn't look that closely at it, but yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah. And that was made by Tim Cohen
I
himself.
was going to ask, is he the artist?
He is. He's a visual artist as well as a musician. And he did this album cover as well as you notice when you look through his catalog the same style of art. And it's him.
Kind of reminds me of Michael Hurley,
Yeah. Yeah.
the late great Michael Hurley.
Well, let's get into another track before I share some of the bio information I have on Tim here. I wanted to feature Ledger Domain, which is side A, track 5.
Is a trick of the heart, a twist of the arm, a play on the mind. Love is leisure domain, a turn of the head, a blink of the eye. Love should never be dark, should only be light. Love should never deceive, should only delight us. Love, a wave of the wand, a play on the mind, a turn of the card. Love is leisure domain, a sleight of the hand, a trick of the heart. Love should never be wrong.
Do you guys know what the word ledger domain means?
No, I don't. I will not pretend to know what that means.
Well, according to Google, it's a skillful use of one's hands when performing conjuring tricks or just general deception or trickery.
Ah, tying right into the magic trick.
Mm-hmm. Now, Jeremy, does that count as a Love You Baby song or...
No, I think it's got more depth than that.
It's transcended it. It's a song about love that's not a Love You Baby song.
Correct.
It reminded me of a band with a whole lot of love songs, a band called the Magnetic Fields.
Oh, yeah, he's got that low baritone voice, kind of storytelling quality in his songs.
Yeah.
And yeah, talking about love, but in a more elevated way than I love you, baby.
Yeah, for sure.
I love the use of reverb on that track across all of it, especially the backing vocals. It all kind of reminded me just slightly of that kind of like 60s countrypolitan sound.
Yeah, I detected a twang in his voice here and there that didn't seem intentional and made sense once I looked into his bio a little bit.
Ooh, is that do I smell a segue?
That's a segue coming like a freight train. Tim Cohen was born in Syracuse, New York, and grew up in Virginia. He has stated I verified these facts with him because doing these modern artists, it's just like a smattering of internet information that's, you never know what's reliable or not. So I wanted to run it by him. He verified that is the case. He started out as someone very into sports and turned to music, he said, when he was around 18. Before this, he listened almost exclusively to hip hop, which might seem surprising given the like psychedelic folk stuff going on, but I kind of thought like lyrically it does, you could say it leans back into country or something like that, but hip hop does a similar thing of like a narrative storytelling.
What year was he born?
I don't know. I actually specifically asked that question, and that was something he didn't respond to. So,
well,
and did you ask him if he ever sang in a church while growing up?
I did ask if he had a musical family or what inspired that, but he had like a couple days turnaround on. I barraged him with a bunch of questions, so he just hit on a few that piqued his interest, and I am grateful for that.
Yeah.
Going back to what you were saying, as far as the similarities with country music and hip hop and the storytelling component, I know that Biggie Smalls, Christopher Wallace, the notorious B.I.G., his mother, Valletta Wallace, was just a lifelong country music fan, and he grew up hearing that in his household nonstop and attributed that to his storytelling abilities as a MC. So
there's the through line.
It's there, yeah.
Just echoing through time. I did find in one interview, he lists his top 10 favorite hip-hop albums. This interview is from 2011, so this would have been at that time. Do you guys want to field any guesses?
Well, I don't have a sense of like exactly. I was wondering what his age was, kind of for that reason. But let's see. I'm willing to guess that A Tribe Called Quest makes the list.
That is on the list. I only wrote down his top 3, but I do remember that being on the list.
Okay, top 3.
All right, I'm gonna guess Cool Keith.
No.
Let's see. Is Dr. Dre on there?
I don't remember seeing
Okay.
Dr. Dre.
I'm trying
It's
to
not
try
in the
to-
top 3, but
What about Boogie Down Productions?
yeah, I also don't remember that being on the list. Let me read you what I got
Okay,
here
all
before
right.
we just devolve into guesses.
Can we just guess for another 10 minutes, though?
If you want, but I'm going to cut it. So the top 3 he listed was Jizza, Liquid Swords,
Okay.
Organized Confusion, Stress the Extraction Agenda,
Uh-huh.
and number 1 was a tie between Black Sheep, Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, and Ice Cube, America's Most Wanted.
All right. Kind of all over the place there.
KKK's most wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like it leaned early 90s and maybe leaned a little more East Coast than West Coast.
Uh-huh.
I will say Liquid Swords has got to be up there on one of my most listened to albums, period. The others I'm not as familiar with.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved if you had brought all 10 of them, but that might not be the best listening for our listeners.
It's out
We'll
there.
save it as a Patreon bonus, maybe.
Over at patreon.com/I Buy That Podcast. I got that out of the way for this episode.
Well done, Peter. So Tim moved to the San Francisco Bay Area in 2002, started releasing non-hip-hop music under the name Feller Quentin, which seems to be a nom de plume. In 2008, Tim and guitarist Wyman Miles recruited drummer Kyle Gibson and formed the Fresh and Onlys, which were a pretty foundational band in the San Fran kind of psych garage scene there. And they recorded 7 studio albums and were touring globally. They had done decently well for themselves as a indie garage band. In 2009, Tim began recording under his government name, solo albums, And this is his third of those, Tim Cohen's Magic Trick, that he put out in 2011. So he was putting out at, one a year, but this is while he's also putting out albums with Fresh and Onlys and all these other. He has a ton of side projects that he was involved in.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we should get into another selection from this prolific musician. What did you have next, Jeremy?
Well, I wanted to play probably my favorite song on this album, Season of Fires. And that is side B, track 1.
All of you round the fire, there are many endings to come. Walk with me, walk with me, walk with me. Up in a tree, the leaves, many angels' wings. Walk with me, walk with me, walk with me. Look at the little bells that ring. Look at all of these beautiful things. So where did they go? So where did they go? This is the season of fire. Cover your eyes. Tis the
That one's interesting because when it starts, it feels like it's a bit of a stylistic departure. It's a little bouncier. It's like, oh, are we getting almost a dance song here? And then as it goes on, it starts to like fit more into the theme of the album. The general sound kind of deepens in style, I think.
Yeah, this one resonated in my mind as like a darker psychedelic, like Jens Lekman song or something.
Mm-hmm.
It had that delivery, especially in the chorus and that low baritone that, yeah, this is a Jeremy Bate album right here.
Oh, yeah. All the way.
Yeah, being 2011, this does feel like it kind of predicts a lot of indie music to come in that decade. It's sort of at the vanguard of a lot of that. It kind of almost like it's taking influence from all that came in that developed in the 2000s and is sort of reworked that and moving it towards the future. I have to assume this guy has some level of influence in the underground. At least probably one of those like musicians, as they say, your favorite musician's favorite musician kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, could be. I really don't know. I think his band, the Fresh and Onlys, was a little more well known in the underground.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that was definitely a name I had heard before.
yeah.
Now, Jeremy, this is kind of, if I'm not mistaken, this is the sort of music and the sort of time period that you were more familiar with, like pre this podcast, right?
Yeah,
Indie singer-songwriters is definitely Jeremy's bag, like probably a specific subsection of that too.
Yeah, like lyrically heady, psychedelic-y. Yeah, this was super up my alley on that front.
But you weren't familiar with him until you found it randomly in Pittsburgh a year and some change ago.
That's true, but I could tell by the album cover alone. I was like, "Oh, this is going to be my shit."
You speak the language
Yeah.
that this was speaking. You just pulled out quite the. Is that the liner notes or a lyric sheet or something that you just pulled out there?
Yeah, it's so there's a drawing.
More sports.
Yeah, some baseball guys, but in a very psychedelic way. And then, yeah, there's lyric sheets, but they're kind of written as paragraphs in an interesting way. Then there's some credits, which is why I pulled it out, because I had some information and then it dawned on me like, oh, it probably says who played what on here. And sure enough, it does. So the main members of the band, the part that I actually did find previous to this, Noel Cahill, Tim Cohen singing there, obviously, James Kim playing drums, and Alicia Vanden Heuvel playing bass and singing some of those background vox as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the female vocals on this are a major component of the sound, I feel like.
Yeah.
The backing vocals, or backing vox, as Jeremy says.
As I say, there's Chris Cones, Grace Cooper, Diego Gonzalez, Allison Moritz, and Shade Sarton also on this album. Guessing those are like friends that came over to jam and ended up on the album.
Or major figures in the San Fran scene.
Could be.
Yeah, I know you said that you weren't really familiar with captured tracks. But have you heard of bands like The Beats and their guy Juan Waters?
No.
Oh, that's some good stuff. That's just one that comes to mind that I think I knew that the label through that association. Very similar time frame to this album.
Yeah, that was, I kind of put forward to Tim. I asked if he was a record collector. He didn't say one way or the other, but kind of asked about this time period. And, you know, I mentioned our theme for this month, and he threw out there that, you know, he's been lucky enough that pretty much all his music has been released on labels. And in particular, in this era, this like late aughts, early 2010s, labels were just putting out everything on vinyl, even if they're just runs of like 1 to 500 or something.
Mm-hmm.
They're just, everything's getting put on vinyl at this time.
Yeah, that really, I'd say 2007, 2008 is when that really starts, and then it was still feasible to do it because the plants weren't backed up 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
So more and more that became an issue as time went on.
Yeah, post like 2015, it became much harder.
Yeah, when like then all the major companies started putting out major artists on vinyl again. And nowadays you walk into Target and they have a LP section.
Yeah. Yep, you can get the latest Ed Sheeran album or whatever.
Yeah.
Mac DeMarco is probably one of the biggest names on captured tracks, and that's also an interesting comparison in sound to this album.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's kind of the end of the notes I have. Tim is still making music out there. Tim Cohen's Magic Trick, his backing band for this, they just kind of became a regular band. Magic Trick was the name of their band.
Yeah, I saw that he had several releases under that name. And
yeah,
I was like, this is already a very ample discography, and now I'm confused.
Yeah, so they like split off into that band, but he was still putting out solo records. He put out a solo record as recently as last year, 2024, called Strawberry Hill. Also very good. I saw he's like putting up, he seems like just a wildly imaginative person. He's putting up currently these albums of TV theme songs for TV shows that don't exist.
That's cool.
Yeah. So he said currently he's actually getting back on his MPC and making hip hop.
I was going to say that he's making hip hop again if he's getting on the MPC. Nice. Comes full circle.
Yep. So he's still making great music out there. So if you like this but can't find this album in particular, keep your eyes peeled for his name on maybe one of his many music projects.
And I would say that he does actually kind of have the streamlined folk of Tim Hardin, but some of the wistful, forlorn qualities of Leonard Cohen here.
Absolutely.
So we did it.
We did it.
Mission accomplished.
Sean, did you get your instructions for magic tricks you wanted?
I've got some good ideas. I've got a place to start. I think I can work with this.
Ready to do a little leisure domain?
Always.
Well, is he ready to do that thing we request of him, too?
Yeah, you ready to pull some sleight of hand and recommend some similar albums?
I am so ready for that.
Let's hear it.
First up, an album from 2017 that I very nearly covered on my episode. It's a band called The Paperhead, a Nashville band on the Trouble in Mind Records label, and I'm recommending their album Chew from 2017. It's got a good kind of straightforward rock sound, not too experimental, really good vocals and lyrics, and kind of that slightly lo-fi psychedelic vibe. So a good comparison to this album, highly recommended, and check out Trouble in Mind Records in general. One of the best for this kind of music.
Hearing you say 2017 was surreal.
Yeah, I know, right?
Somehow even weirder than 2011.
Next one is actually a Jeremy recommendation. Jeremy, you want to tell the people why you're recommending Greg Ashley's Painted Garden from 2007?
Yes. When I heard this, that was the name that immediately came to mind. And Greg Ashley was actually a Bay Area musician at the time that he did Painted Garden. It is, a little bit of Midwest sensibility taken to the Bay Area and swirled up in psychedelia and some garage influences. He also had a somewhat popular garage psych band called the Gree.
Yeah, I was trying to place where I knew his name from, and that's it.
Yeah.
I think they played Kalamazoo at Craft Brow at some point, I want to say. I could be wrong.
I think you're right. I think it's very possible that our previous guest, Matt Dorban, might have booked that one.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Also makes great songs. Psychedelic inspired folk with some good lyrical depth going on. So, and I hope they're not like Secret Enemies, since they were both Bay Area guys around that time.
You never know. These egos can clash sometimes.
Yeah. Maybe they're good friends. Who knows?
Craig Ashley has Gree live in Kalamazoo on his Bandcamp.
There you go. Does it say what year?
It was released 2018, but I'm not sure when the show was.
I'm sure it was long before that.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was probably like 2004 or 2005.
Could be. Can't find a direct answer.
All good.
Yeah, and that album in particular, Painted Garden, came in the wake of some moderate success he had with his first album, Medicine Fuck Dream, that is very good, but there aren't a lot of them out there, and they're not as cheap. So check out Painted Garden if you see it.
Very cool. Back to Sean.
All right, I got two more recommendations. One album that we have covered before and a non-vinyl recommendation. I was trying to think of what stuff have we covered before that you could make a comparison to this in style. And I think the one that stuck out to me the most was Emmett Rhodes, self-titled, 1970.
Oh, yeah, kind of catchy. Poppy, but folky still.
Bedroomy.
Got a little bit of that lo-fi energy. We talked a lot about how you can hear the obvious Beatles comparison there, but you can make the comparison to other stuff, other more experimental stuff pretty easily as well.
With old Emmett Rhodes.
Yeah, love that one. And finally, a album that was not on vinyl, but was certainly one of my favorite Kalamazoo releases from the time period. So if you're looking to buy a cassette, I would highly recommend the 2011 album Ethnic Pants by the Philly Crawlers.
Oh, my goodness. That I did not see coming, Sean.
That's the same year. How could I not?
Yeah, that's, for those who don't know, that is my former band, Psych Pop Outfit. And it was actually recorded 2008, but yeah, it did not see release until 2011. So it was kind of almost a reissue of something that never came out in the first place when it came out in 2011. So love it. You got me, Sean. That was great.
Yeah. I used to love going to all the Philly Crawlers shows, being like, man, this band rules. I wonder if this guy would want to do a podcast with me someday.
You had me pegged from the start.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Sean Dad.
Oh, hey, you're welcome.
Well, do we have we run out of things to say on Mr. Tim Cohen and his magic trick?
Yeah, it's all the info I got. I think this is another good example of something we touched on in our previous episode, the first of this series of modern vinyls, that it's just this extremely creative music that, unlike most of the albums we've covered, those were beholden to labels and big name producers and needing to sell enough copies to get to record another album, and that is not the case here. And you hear the flubs, and Tim clearly isn't caring about making a mega hit for radio with this. He's crafting something that means something to him. So I think it's cool.
Yeah. Having started the college DJ thing, I believe I started at Wider FM in Kalamazoo in 2006. Boy, that's so long ago now to think back that far, almost 20 years ago. But it really struck me at that time. We were still kind of very much in the CD era, but just seeing how much music was being produced on the level of being promoted at the college level at that time. We would have a rotation rack that you had to play music from as a rotation DJ at Wider. And there were, just dozens of albums coming in all the time. You get to know the names, that you'd start to recognize a lot of those names. But it was overwhelming when I started, and to then now realize that that these artists started releasing stuff on LP, and knowing that there's probably these often limited runs of 500, 1,000 copies of a lot of albums out there. It's just wild. There's so much to parse through, because obviously recording is a lot easier to do on the cheap now than it ever was in the time frame that we normally cover on this show.
Yeah.
There's just so much out there.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons we've kind of talked about doing these more modern records and haven't dove in yet is that we're maybe a little worried that doing this time period, it kind of forces you to go into much more obscure territory than we've covered before. So chances are most people clicking play on this episode were completely unfamiliar with the artist or music ahead of time. So we thank you for trying something new and diving into something more modern and less familiar potentially.
And hold on tight, because we got a couple more of these coming, and then we'll return to your regularly scheduled programming.
Yeah, covering music from the mostly 60s through 80s.
Unless everybody loves this. Maybe this is the new thing. Maybe people want us to dig in and find those 2010 lost masterpieces for them.
Sort of an audio blog of sorts.
Yeah. All right. Well, what are we getting out of here on, Jeremy?
We are getting out of here on the final track of the album, I Looked Up.
Oh, I had to point out that that's the name of an incredible string band album, I Looked Up.
Oh, I wonder if that was intentional.
Maybe. I also noticed that the song before it on the album has a rather noteworthy title.
Yes, Tunnel of Love.
Yeah. But it's not a cover of the Bruce Springsteen title track from his 1987 album Tunnel of Love, right?
It is not that,
yeah.
no.
It's a good song, but you chose I Looked Up.
I did. That's how Tim wanted to end it, so that's how I think we'll end it here.
Very good. Thank you, Jeremy, and thank you, listeners. My name is Peter Cook, signing off on I'd Buy That for $1.
I'm co-host Jeremy.
And I'm co-host Sean Hartman, also signing off for I'd Buy That for $1.
Oh, I better sign off too then.
Yeah, you better, otherwise you're stuck here, bud.
Co-host Jeremy signing off.
I chased her name into the shadows that echoed so long beneath me, so many miles from the battle that claimed the tongue would deceive me. I looked up, saw her face in the clouds, absent was the love in her eyes, and all at once rocks were tumbling down, the river swallowed us all. If only to spin us out I washed up into the shallows. I'd suffered so many beats.